And I'm Dr. Scott Glassman. I'm a psychologist and the developer of A Happier You, which is a 7-week program to help people find more joy and meaning in their lives. And Belqui, you have found joy and meaning through your wonderful work with food. Your Latin-inspired cuisine, your beautiful dishes really bring a lot of happiness to people. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what that has meant to you in your life as a form of resilience, a form of personal growth and sustenance and flourishing.
Well, it's interesting because, a lot of us find challenging times in our life very difficult to get past, right? Or to find meaning, or what do I do after something has happened to you or to me. So in my case, my son was diagnosed with autism, and I was, actually, I would say mid 30s at that time. And I was, still very career driven, and I knew what I wanted to do. But having him getting diagnosed totally derailed everything. And they say, oh, you can still do it. But, as a mom, that you want to be there for your child at all times. So that started, I would first, it was more, I wanted to do things regarding autism, right? I wanted to be an advocate, and I'm all of those things, but I didn't want to live all day with my son with autism. And then on top of that, deal with autism, all day with other parents, which is what I was kind of starting to do. And then I realized, well, I love cooking. I'm always cooking. I'm always doing, trying out new recipes or twisting recipes. And I'm like, oh, maybe this is something I can do, because I really love it. I really enjoy it. I enjoy feeding people. It makes me so happy. So I thought maybe I just start like a blog or something. And I did, and it was kind of like a pastime. And then it just became a bigger thing, and it's still becoming a bigger thing because I'm about 2.5 years into it. And the joy that I find in it is because I realize that when you have a challenge, you have to find opportunity within that challenge, right? So you have to say, so what can I do? So for me, I can go back to work to what I wanted to really do. And I kind of just sat trying to figure out where am I going next? I'm not just a mother. I'm also an individual who was, who didn't have children till her 30s. So I just was so happy to be able to find this opportunity and to just share my food and my recipes with others. So for me, it's life-changing, I would say.
You found that challenge as a doorway into a really new experience and a really a positive pathway for yourself. When people, when they face challenges in life, adversity, there can be a tendency to dwell in it, to really get caught up in rumination, to feel hopeless. But it seems like you kind of were flexible. You're flexible in your thought, your openness to new ideas, kind of looking for maybe new opportunities to grow, while still maintaining a focus and being a great mom, raising a child with a lot of challenges, and really kind of blending the mission of making others happy with being a great parent. It seems like those two parts of your mission work really well together.
Yes. And that doesn't mean that there aren't days that you feel hopeless, that you feel like, oh my God, like really, is this my life? Because you have very challenging days when you're dealing with someone that has special needs. It's more about making sure that you're not dwelling in it, that you're not sitting in it or on it for long periods of time. So I'm a true believer in that. Like if my son's having a bad day or a bad moment, and I feel like, oh my God, I feel it, I allow myself to feel, and then I say, I'm moving on, and I just can't sit dwelling on this. And then I think that's one of the things that the blog has helped me with too. And the cooking is because not only am I cooking, but I shoot everything. I edit all my videos. I take the photography to all my dishes. I do all the social media, and these are all things that I taught myself how to do, like editing videos, all of those things. So it kind of takes you away a little bit, and it gives you something to focus on, that it's not just whatever it is that you're going through at home or whatever that challenge is. So,
yeah, one of the keys to well-being that I talk about in my upcoming book, A Happier You, is this idea that we shouldn't push away negative feelings. We shouldn't deny ourselves the opportunity to feel bad about
Mhm.
normal, stressful situations in our lives. It's a very human thing
Mhm.
to encounter that, and but to hold that in a place where it doesn't submerge us. So,
Yes.
and it seems like you are looking for an opportunity to pivot when you're kind of sitting with a tough day with your son, perhaps, and then maybe you're asking yourself a question. And I'd be really curious to hear what kinds of positive questions that you ask yourself to pivot into a place of greater uplifted mood, or a more positive sense of yourself. Um,
Yes.
but there is a point where you say to yourself, you know, I don't need to necessarily stay in a place of feeling bad or down or hopeless or helpless, that
Mhm.
I can turn to something else.
Yes. So in my case, it's not even so much questions; it's more statements to
Okay.
myself.
Yeah.
It's almost like affirmations, but it's not real affirmations. It's more like, okay, just relax. And it's as simple. It can be as simple as that, or he's going to be over in a minute. That means like if he's having a major meltdown, or I mean, anything, or like, even if it's a really bad day, then I say, well, tomorrow will be a better day. Tomorrow will be a better day, whatever, just take it easy. You're fine. Everything's fine. Or, for example, today, in a couple of hours, I'm going to be taking him for a haircut because we're traveling back east, and, when I'm making all nice and cute before we go. And, there's times where he's really good at the haircut, and there's times that he's not. One time they even like chopped part of his ear off because he just flipped out of nowhere. So then you carry that stress with you. You're kind of like, ooh, even though we've had good ones, you always think, oh my God, this is going to be terrible. It's going to be a bad one. Just because you're kind of, so then I have to just start talking to myself and like, it'll be fine. He'll have a good one today. He's going to have a great haircut. It's going to be fine. And even if he has a bad one, like, it's fine. Like, has the world ended after it? No. So then you have to kind of just, it's almost like reassurance that you're going to be okay. So that's more of what I tend to do.
It's interesting because you're pointing to the self-compassionate voice, which is so
Mm-hmm.
important for us to exercise self-kindness. And the way we talk to ourselves is an indication of, you know, what do we see within ourselves as our strengths?
Mm-hmm.
Can we move past this? If we say to ourselves, it's going to be okay. Tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
another day. I've handled these tough situations before. I can do it now. That type of self-talk really is the pivot point, it sounds like, for you, to kind of
Mm-hmm.
move into a more hopeful, forward facing place.
Yes. And what's interesting too, even about the question, because I am in therapy too. I think it's very good to have a therapist, someone that you speak to on a normal basis that has absolutely no bearing in your life. Like they have nothing to gain or lose from either listening to you, giving you some sort of input, right? So there are some times where I'll say to myself, okay, so what's the big deal? Like, what is the big deal? What if that happens? Then what? Then what? And then, so I notice that whenever I do those things, for some reason, it makes me feel better. Like, and that's not just applied to being a mom. It's also applied to being a wife. It applies to being a daughter, a
Apply
friend.
to anything, really.
Exactly. So it's almost like, when I was younger, I mean, I've been married for 21 years now, 26 together. So a very long time with my husband. And when I was younger, I was much more reactive, or I would be like, oh, I'm not talking to him for a day or two because he upset me or whatever it is. And now I'm like, what's freaking, why? Like, if he just annoyed me or did something that bothered me, I just, I move on. I don't carry that with me. I'm like, I'm done. I don't have time to be like mad at him. I just don't have it, which actually makes the relationship better, right? So you just have to move on and not be sitting in that, because it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, and it seems like that way you're able also to maintain a proper perspective on what really matters. And one of the other pathways that I talk about in my book is this idea of gratitude and what are our gifts in life, and can we pay
Mhm.
more attention to what those gifts are and do that in a very almost systematic, regular, habitual way,
Yeah.
in order to keep the stresses, the things that really hold us back and get us down, in the proper perspective. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about, what fills you with gratitude, and maybe there is a connection
Cool.
between your family life and your cooking and the way you share your heart through food
Yes.
with people.
Yes. To be honest with you, I have so much gratitude in so many different places. I mean, like, because of what's happened with COVID and all of that, I was home a lot, and I became a little more where I didn't want to really go out as much because you just kind of became more reclusive. But one of the things that I do notice is that when I go and I leave my home and I'm in my car, and I look at the blue sky. I live in Arizona, so it's always really blue, and like this, I don't know, everything just looks amazing. And I love palm trees. I am so grateful just for the blue sky, for the clouds, for the palm tree, for a great song that comes on the radio or on my iPhone when I have it, connected to my car. I'm grateful that I have my husband, that I have my children. As you and I had discussed before, I lost a daughter. That was a twin to my son. And I feel that in a way, even though I lost her, I feel gratitude because I don't know, and I don't know, but I feel like I'm grateful because her loss made me appreciate my son so much. So I'm grateful for everything that he is, his existence, right? So I come from a place of a lot of compassion for him. Then there's because of his disability, then there's the gratitude, right? Or just being grateful for any little thing that's so silly. It's like it makes your day. So I think when you look at just everything, like you could be grateful that you have a home to live in, that you have cable, that you can afford to have a cell phone. I mean, there are so many things that we can be grateful for. So when something negative happens, I tend to try to remember, okay, these are other things that I have that I'm grateful for, that are kind of tied to whatever that situation is. So it could be worse. I could have a more disabled child. I could, like, there's always something out there that's worse. So be grateful for what you have. So I'm a very grateful person.
And you're talking too about recognizing the gifts in nature, around us, where we always have access to nature. We always
Mm-hmm.
also have access to our breath, and sometimes we can just feel grateful for this breath that I
Yes.
take into my body. And what does it mean that I am alive? Can I feel
Mm-hmm.
grateful that this breath allows me to give to my family, give to the people I help each day, give to back to myself.
Yes.
And when we look at gratitude as something that can be for those simple things that may fly under the radar, it really,
Mm-hmm.
what you're talking about, it opens so many doors for positive views of ourselves, the world,
Mm-hmm.
future, and just almost this new kind of rejuvenated energy, I feel. Because gratitude
Mm-hmm.
for me, as both a psychologist, a dad, is a major practice in everyday life that I need to have my gratitude spot. And if
Mm-hmm.
I don't, something oftentimes feels off. So
Yes.
I don't know if, when we think about where and when you practice gratitude, some people look at it like a drop-in experience, like, they'll just tell themselves, I'm going to find what I enjoy and what I feel thankful for in whatever moment I may drop into my experience. Other people may
Mm-hmm.
find that I want to designate a certain spot in my home. It could be a special chair that you sit in. It could be a special room. It could be outside, a place that you walk often as a gratitude spot where you, whenever you're in that spot, you or automatically think of something you're feeling grateful for after a number of times of being there. So
Yes.
I'm wondering if you have any thoughts about how gratitude could be even more intentional in your life. Is it something that you even want to schedule, like gratitude time for yourself, or maybe you don't need to, or I don't know if there would be something
Mhm.
that you would recommend.
Yeah. Yeah, in my case, I don't have a dedicated space. I don't that or time or I mean, I have tried some of those, meditation apps and all that. But that I feel like I'm a little ADD-ish about it. Like I just can't sit still.
Yeah.
But for me, it's kind of just sprinkled throughout my day, right? It could be a moment that I'm just like, I sit down at my desk and I don't know, I might even open up, like, let's say when it comes to cooking, I open up my YouTube channel to check out any comments because I posted, a video of a recipe. And then someone says, oh my God, I tried this recipe and it reminded me of my mom's whatever, and I've been trying to make it forever. My mom passed away and this is exactly like my mom's. So it's just about finding like little things that just, I don't know. And I think one of the things too about gratitude is that it makes you love, um once you're grateful for the things that you have, at least in my case, you tend to be more open with people. You tend to love people more. Like even people like I'm very what is the word? I make sure I give a lot of compliments to people. I tell people I love them, like I'm not afraid of it. I grew up with very little I love yous because of the type of culture I lived in, grew up in. Like your parents just don't say I love you. That's just not how it works. So now I'm very intentional there. So I make sure that other people around me, and that can even be a stranger that I meet at the supermarket in the line. It doesn't matter. I am very like, just, I guess people say I'm very friendly because I talk to everybody. But I just love people. I love people.
Yeah, and you kind of, I like this idea of sprinkling, um, tuning into gratitude throughout your day. It's almost like when you catch a moment, you're holding it like a firefly in your hand
Mm-hmm.
for a little while and appreciating everything about that moment, maybe all of its sensory qualities.
Mm-hmm.
We can, it's a form of mindfulness, which is
Yes.
an underlying principle and skill in a happier you, which is, can we use mindfulness to expand good moments, whether it's something
Mm-hmm.
you're appreciating, feeling thankful for, a light moment, laughing with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
something that was, helping somebody else to bring something wonderful into their life. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and when we expand moments like that, a whole opens a doorway to a whole host of positive feelings. You mentioned love as one of them. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there could be connectedness. You can feel just grateful. Obviously, is one of them. But speaking about positive emotions, are there ways that you cultivate positive feelings in your life? Are there things that you, in addition to cooking and being a great mom, that you bring in positive feelings through?
Um, well, to bring positive feelings, you can do that. I mean, throughout your whole day, if you really think about it. So in my case, for example, because I'm such a friendly person and I have a lot of people in my life that I love, I if I think of, let's say, my best friend, I'll just send her a text and say, "Hey, girl, I love you. Just thinking of you." And then that makes me feel just so good because I'm thinking of my friend or my sister, or or for me, I think it's more connecting with
Yeah.
people. I think that is something that I know that if I'm having, so I know that a lot of people also do this without maybe sometimes realizing that they're doing it, but they're having a bad day and they might call that one person that makes them feel better. And they might not even say to that person that they're having a bad day. They might just be like, "Hey, just checking in, how you doing, blah, blah, blah." And they just need to get away mentally from that situation that they're going through, but maybe they're not ready to talk about it. So I do that actually sometimes. If I'm having a bad day, I might call someone, or it could be the complete opposite where I don't. But for the most part, I do. I try to, like, even if it's a text back and forth with someone, something that I know is going to bring some sort of joy back to me. So that's one of the things that I do.
Yeah, connectedness is such an important part of happiness. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things we've done in our program is brought people together in small groups and have them share something that they're feeling grateful for, have them talk about something that made them laugh, having them
Mm-hmm.
go around and identify a personal strength. And what we found
Yes.
has been pretty remarkable, that positivity and happiness catches. There's a
Mm-hmm.
catalyst. When one person is feeling good about something and expressing it, it tends to lift other people up. So it
Yes.
is that kind of social spark that
Mm-hmm.
it's not surprising that when we connect with others through a text message, through a phone call, through FaceTime, um, any kind of supportive interaction, not only lifts us up, but there's been research to show that when we become happier, people 3 or 4 times removed from us have a greater likelihood of becoming happy. So
Yes.
this spread effect is really pretty incredible, and it
Mm-hmm.
speaks to how we may not realize our impact downstream in other social circles, other communities that are
Mm-hmm.
cultivating our own micro relationships or closer relationships has for people we don't even know.
Exactly. And what's interesting too about, like, when you just show up, let's say, how people say someone walked in and they just light up the room.
Yeah.
That's the person that you want to be. And that's the person that I want to be. I want to be when someone sees me enter a room, they're like, oh, there's Belqui. That I'm not someone bringing negativity into a room, that I'm bringing joy. So that's one of the things that, and I think I do it well, because I don't think you should be carrying any negativity around. And you know how there's other people too that come into a room and you're like, oh God, there's so and so, and you don't want to sit next to them or whatever because all they do is complain or this. So that's the thing for me. It's like, be the person that when you walk into the room, you light it up and that everyone wants to be around you. And not because you're funny necessarily. It's because you're kind. It's because you're easy. You're not heavy. You're not heavy. Yeah.
There's also an openness to others and an openness to experience, which you radiate, which is really just what a fantastic quality and something, does that translate? I wanted to ask you, how does that translate into your cooking life? Is there a translation of openness and walking into the room radiating and your
Yes.
food? Do the two match up?
They come together. So on my YouTube channel, I cook in front of, some of the videos, depending on my ability to shoot it, we're on camera. But if I'm on camera, I'm 100% myself. So I mess up. I'm just like giddy. That's kind of the kind of person I am. So therefore, that's who I am. So you'll see I laugh a lot. I forget words a lot. Like I don't take myself seriously. Like I'm not there to be like, oh, well, then you need to do this, you need to do that. I'm more like, oh my God, this is so funny. Oh my God, this tastes so good. And I don't mind. Do I want to look cute on camera? Of course, every woman wants to look cute, but that doesn't mean that I can't just be myself and be goofy and make faces if that's what I want to do. And that's one of the things that I get a lot from people who follow me is like, you're so natural and so authentic. And that is because if I mess up or whatever, I'm just me, and that's it. Like, so I feel like whoever sees me there pretty much has exactly who I am right here, right now with you. And even here right now with you, I'm not as giddy as I usually am because we're talking about what we're talking about. But yeah, so
Yeah, and there's an element of authenticity too, which is really wonderful, that your light side is who you are. That's where you feel your best self. And there's
mhm.
some research that shows that when we're laughing, when we're in a light state of mind, our immune systems function better. We tend to
Yes.
fight disease more effectively.
Mm-hmm.
We can manage stress better. Our relationships are stronger. So, when we think about, if we ask ourselves a question, can I be lighter in my life? That might be a helpful
Mm-hmm.
question, in bringing a little bit more of, um, that person who is not weighed down so much, and that we can
Yes.
keep problems in perspective if we can laugh at ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
like, if there's something that doesn't go right with cooking a dish, for instance, I
Yes.
imagine, can you see that as a happy accident, that leads perhaps
Yeah.
into better things, versus, oh
Yeah.
no, look what happened here, and it's ruined, right?
Yes.
The catastrophic thinking is the opposite direction of that.
Yeah. You can't take it seriously, like, at all. You just have to just go with the flow and let things be the way that they are. I mean, even at home, like, if I'm cooking something and I drop something or whatever, I'm just like, "Ugh," but that's it. I'm done. I'm not like,
Yeah.
like, I don't lose it, because I feel like that takes energy away from you. But I have to say that one of the things that I also feel brings joy and happiness is when you give to others.
Mm,
When you give something to others, and it's not necessarily something that's tangible. It could just be help. It could just be, um, uh, guidance. It could just be anything. So in my case, through my food blog, one of the things that I do, which they say, oh, you shouldn't do, is I show people how I do my videos, how I do this, how I started my blog. And people are like, oh, it's a cooking channel. You shouldn't really do that. But I don't care, because people want to know. People ask me. I've had calls with people, Zooms with people that want to ask me questions. I'm like, yep, let's connect. And I'll answer the questions. They're not paying me to do so. I just feel like I want to be helpful, especially if someone is really serious about wanting to do that. So that's one of the things I noticed too, that when I help other people, I feel really good. And it's also because when I started, I was trying to find help, and it was so hard to find help within what I was doing with cooking and taking pictures or videos. Everything was so expensive, all the cameras, the equipment. I'm like, this is insane. So I started, everything I bought was like Amazon basics, like super cheap things, because I didn't want to make a huge investment. And 2.5 years in, I'm still using those. And they don't minimize my work. It doesn't make it any less better, but it's something that I was like, okay, I need to share with people inexpensive ways to do what I'm doing, by showing them how I'm doing it inexpensively. So, and it's been very helpful for a lot of people.
that's really fantastic. And that is, again, it shows you're not going by what you think should be done. You're going by what your heart is saying is right for you, and right for the
Mm-hmm.
people that you want to help and want to connect with, which is following
Yes.
our own compass, and following our own values is an important
Mm-hmm.
part of wellness and happiness.
Exactly.
Um,
Yes. And having also grown up with limited resources as a young child, we had to learn how to cut corners, how to do so that's basically, I think that even if I was a millionaire, like, there's a lot of things that you don't need to spend that kind of money to be able to show people or give someone a good product. So, so it's about just letting people know you don't have to be rich to be able to have a really nice video formatted, or this or that, or a nice, I don't know, holder for your camera, whatever it is. Like, you don't have to spend a ton of money. There's other options out there. So,
yeah, and that's just the analogy to happiness and well-being, is that you don't need material wealth in order to be happy. And in fact, it's not, people who have a lot of money oftentimes are very unhappy. And
yep.
so, like, if we look at where does happiness really lie, it's in finding out what's important to you, and do you
Mm-hmm.
have a pathway in life to live that out. And it's also about some of the things that we've already talked about, right? Gratitude, focusing on the good in your day versus what's gone wrong, focusing on lightness, humor, um, thinking about what brings enjoyment and meaning as an activity, whether that's cooking, or whether it's playing a sport, or whether it's writing, whatever, or making a great painting. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think of this idea of happiness as also this the spectrum of light, right? So if you pass
Mm-hmm.
light through a prism, it's broken up into wavelengths of all these different colors. And so one of those colors might be gratitude, one might be lightness, one might be finding the good in each day, one might be an enjoyable, meaningful activity, another might be love, one might be kindness. And we can take all of these different colors and create this overall idea for ourselves, create
Yeah.
a sense of well-being, which is really hopeful in my mind, because it means like we have a lot of doors that we can walk through and we can
Mm-hmm.
choose. Maybe gratitude's not quite available to us at one moment in our lives, but maybe lightness is,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe
Yes.
connecting with somebody is, and that social the social sense of meaning and fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
So in some ways, we're doing very parallel things. You know, creating menus for people to choose from
Yes.
in order to and be empowered with
Mm-hmm.
their own joy and meaning in life,
Absolutely.
giving away the recipe so they can make it for
Yes.
themselves, right?
Yes. And you know, another thing too that is important is to be good to yourself.
Yeah.
Be good to yourself. And then in saying that, that means that you sometimes have to put yourself first when you don't feel like you should. Put yourself first. Um, as a mom, as mothers in general, like we tend to like put ourselves after our children, and then sometimes even after your spouse. And there's times when you do put them first, right? But there's other times when you have to say, you know what, I need this for me. I need this for me because I want to give my kids like the best version, or even my husband the best version of me. And I can't do it because I haven't taken care of myself or been good to myself. And for me, to be honest with you, it could even be food. For me, it could be where I love oxtail. This is one example. I love oxtail, a Dominican kind of stewed oxtail. And my husband doesn't like it, but my other son likes it. And it could be as simple as, you know what, I'm gonna make oxtail for myself tonight, just because I just want to give myself some love, and I'll make something else for whoever doesn't like oxtail. But I make sure that I do that for myself, even if it's work, because it takes like 4 hours. But if there's something that I have is patience. So that's just one example. Or it could just be, you know what, I'm going to put makeup on today. I don't feel like putting makeup on today, which I don't wear makeup every day. And I put on makeup for you, Scott. Yeah, I'll put makeup on today because I know that that's going to maybe boost my mood, right? So there's just little things that are so simple that might just bring some sort of joy and love that you give to yourself, right? Like you're cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know that can be very difficult for many people, because growing up, some of the messages they may have received as kids is that you aren't deserving of kindness, or you're not worth um, the pleasurable things in life or meaning in life. And these messages can be corrosive if we begin to believe in them and support them and look at life in ways that are confirming those
Yes.
really unhelpful ideas. So if you're having a challenge with self-kindness, maybe the message is to stick with it, because it may
Mm-hmm.
take a while for you to feel deserving again,
Yes.
to kind of repeat. You mentioned the affirmation piece before,
Mm-hmm.
um, but to go forward with that, to move forward with that, you might ask yourself, what are some reasons I feel that I am inherently worth kindness, automatically worth kindness as I am right now in this moment? And
Mm-hmm.
hopefully the answer will be it's because you're here, because
Yes.
everybody has worth, everybody matters.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
uh, no matter what station of life you're in, and
Mm-hmm.
giving ourselves permission to have that wonderful meal that maybe only we enjoy the most, or the
Yes.
time off from work. You know, a job can sometimes be a priority over self-care. uh,
Mm-hmm.
Many people really are really working themselves hard, especially during the pandemic, and trying to make ends meet, and
Yes.
be able to give ourselves that space is a way to keep
Mm-hmm.
people, so that we, like you were saying, we can give it to others.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think, I don't know if you agree that confidence, I think, is one of the things that we need to build, because as you said, like when you grow up, maybe you have certain experiences that shape who you become later. In my case, I've always, which is really weird, like I've always been very confident. Even though I've had like a lot of crazy stuff happen to me, I've always just had a confidence in myself, a belief in myself. And that doesn't mean that there are times that I don't like, that I feel doubts about whether I'm worthy, whether I'm good enough, whether I'm smart enough. Because there's always that little like thing that, jumps on you and like wants to like, but then, I'm as I've gotten older, I've gotten better at making sure that I understand that that's not necessarily true. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that comes with age? Do you think it's because I've done a lot of work on myself? Like, what is it that you think makes one person be one way, but not the other?
I often look at it as practice, simply asking yourself the questions: what am I good at? What do I want to become better at? What are my just natural attributes that other people like in me or I like in myself? And
Mm-hmm.
what are my values? If we have a good core structure of values, whether it's family, faith, creativity, cooking, whatever those values are, can we rely on them for confidence? Can they drive us
Yes.
forward because we can match up what we do each day with our values? In a sense, that will get us to where we want to go. And isn't
Yeah.
that the idea of self-efficacy, which is the ability, right? The ability to think that, I can get there. I can get there if
Yes.
I take these 3 steps or these 4 steps, or I'll keep trying and be persistent because this value is so important to me. So I
Mm-hmm.
think maybe some people have an easier time um, figuring out what their core set of values are and then lining up their actions with those values. And maybe that comes across to us as confidence and success and being really
Yes.
kind of, having a firm foundation. And it can take different amounts of time. Again, some people have trauma histories, which make that much more difficult. Maybe they have people, I grew up with parents who wanted to guide me away from creativity, creative pursuits. And so it took me a long
Mm.
time to feel okay within myself that that was a worthwhile, pathway. And so the
Yes.
messages we receive can really either delay us on that path or
Mm-hmm.
accelerate us on that path.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And I get it that too, because, as a little girl, what I wanted to be was an actress. That was my thing. And not that my parents would not support me in that. They never said they would, but I also never said that's what I wanted to do to them, because I knew that they would not support me because I was first generation American. And you do not decide you're not going to go to college and you're going to be an actress in New York City. Like, are you crazy? Like, my parents would have killed me. So I went to college. And I did advertising and marketing and communications, which is, depending on what you work on, it can be creative or not. I was not on the creative side. That wasn't my type of creativity, right? My creativity was acting. That was what I wanted to do. But at 25, I actually quit my job and became an actress. So I actually quit, but I had a degree. I was married already to my husband, and he's like, "Go for it, girl. Like, whatever you want to do, just do it. I'm here to support you." He supported me through it. I ended up having to stop acting, which was my dream career, when my son was diagnosed, and it was very, very. So I was an actress for about 11 years. I got to work. I was a working actor. That was wonderful. But now, obviously, that's the whole thing in finding opportunity, right? That I said before. So I can't be an actress. I can't be at the last minute, Belqui, show up for this casting or whatever. That's just not going to fly for me. I can't be on set for 24 hours one day. But this works perfect. I get to be on camera. I get to cook, which I love. I get to show people my personality. It's not acting anymore. But I'm just, I don't know, I'm putting all my energy into something that's creative. So I think, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, but you found a way to live out that value. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think the other piece that people can do too to increase confidence, because some of the people watching our interview today may be wondering, well, how can I become more confident? Is to ask ourselves a question. And one of the questions I like the best is, what's one thing that in my life that I've overcome that's been really difficult? And to think about everything that you put into overcoming that obstacle, and actually writing it down. what were the qualities, what were the actions you took, what were, who was along with you at that time in your life. And then once you have a solid idea of that, that you could do it, oftentimes there's increased hope that, what, I think I still have these qualities. I can still follow these steps for other situations, which may be very different. So that can be a helpful exercise of looking back at past successes in order to build a sense of, I can do this, and, I have everything already within me to thrive, which I call the flower philosophy. A seed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the seed has everything in a flower seed has everything in it needs in order to become that flower, right?
Yes.
What does it need around it? It needs soil, it needs water, it needs sunlight, it needs the right conditions in order to make everything within that seed come out and flourish. And I think a lot of times we're like those seeds, and we need, some of us need more soil, some of us need more light, some of us need more water, some of us need all three of those conditions in order to become our best selves, to actualize, in the ways. So I don't know what you think about that metaphor, that analogy, but
totally, I completely agree with that. It's I would say you've said it perfectly. But there's one thing that I have to add, not to that, but also add to the conversation that kind of comes along with that as well, is sometimes when we fail at something, or something doesn't work out the way we want it to, and that has been actually some of the better things that have ever happened to me came about because I missed an opportunity, or something went wrong. And if it would have not gone wrong, I wouldn't have ended up where I was, to make that one thing that went well happen. So it's very interesting. So if you start looking back at things, it could even be that, a boyfriend dumped you if you're a woman, and you're like, oh my God. But then like a month later, you were at a club or at a restaurant, you meet another person. If you would have been with that other guy, you would have never maybe met that one guy that you met that now is the love of your life. So I feel that you always have to look at something that doesn't go your way as possibly an opportunity, opening an opportunity for something that maybe you didn't see from that. And some people gain more strength from it and more resolve. It doesn't even have to be that it's going to be leading to something that would have never happened otherwise, but it could also make you stronger, make you more determined, make you, I'm going to show these people. And I have one of those things happen to me. I'm like, man, I'm going to show them. And I'm in that path of like, what you did to me was messed up, but don't worry, I'll show you. I'll show you. And that's basically ammunition for me. And it's not in a bad way. It's more like, you're going to see, you thought I wasn't good enough for this and basically told me so. And then now I'm just going to show you that I am.
You're converting what could be a failure experience and a way to feel badly about yourself into fuel for striving, for continuing to strive and move down the path of to fulfill that value, and not letting somebody else, not letting the closed door or the rejection steer you off of that path, which I really love that, that recipe for persistence, because we all hit those closed doors. We all wonder, well, why did I not get that job? Why wasn't I chosen for that role if you're an actor?
But we can't let that validate who we are as people. Like, we all have different views of each other. Someone might love you, someone might not like you. So maybe those people didn't like me, or, or didn't think I was right. But I feel like we cannot allow those people to make us feel like, because we didn't get that opportunity, that it's over, that we don't have what it takes. It's just one rejection or one person that feels that way. So
and sometimes the closed door is maybe for a purpose, right? And so maybe there is a purpose for redirection, and maybe there are times that we're not seeing a best fit where we kind of should be with our talents and values and virtues. And sometimes I think the universe helps us along a little bit by saying, no, not here, but hey, did you look over there? Maybe over there. And gives us an opportunity to oh yeah, let's start to look around and like, well, I didn't think about that before, but I am really, a good writer. If maybe just
Yeah.
discovered writing, or I'm great, I'm great playing the guitar, and so maybe I'm going to make that into my career. So there's these
Hmm.
little kind of hints that I think that we get from time to time that,
Yes.
can be, if we're listening in an open, respectful, almost humble way, that really
Hmm.
can be exciting adventures, in new directions.
I agree. I never say no to anything. I jump at things if I think, well, possibly could be good. Like right now, I haven't told this to anybody outside of my home. So you're the first one to know. And whoever's watching this now will know that a company reached out to me and said, do you want to make merchandise, like, for your brand? And I was like, no, whatever. And then I said no. And then I thought, oh, wait a minute. The merchandise doesn't have to have my logo on it. It doesn't have to be about me. It could be about food on printed shirts and all these different things. And then I designed everything already, and it's really fun stuff. So mango, for example, is a dish, right? A Dominican dish. So the shirt will say, "You had me at mango," like just like cute little sayings,
Yeah,
and then aprons and stuff like that. Aprons that have like phenomenal cook and different things like that. And I'm like, because I didn't want it to be about me. I thought, that's why I said no. And then I thought, oh, there is opportunity here. Am I going to become a millionaire from it? I don't think so, but it's passive income. It's something extra. It'll be fun to see what happens. And if it doesn't take off, then it doesn't take off. But I tried it, and I had the idea after saying no. And I'm like, oh, let me just go for it and see what happens. And I won't be hard on myself. Like I said, if it doesn't work out, I know I did it. That's it.
that's
In the future, I won't think, well, I should have tried it, you
that's
know?
really exciting. Congratulations, and I'm excited to
Thank
see
you.
what products that you put out, which will continue to inspire and infuse your spirit, for
Hmm.
people who would have them in their kitchen or wearing them. So,
Yes.
um,
Yeah. It's just fun. Like,
yeah,
just the idea that, I showed it to a few of my family members, and they're like, oh my God, it's so cute. And I'm like, I'm like so excited. So just the joy of having that excitement, like I love it. Like that's why I'm like, it's bringing me joy right now. So if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't. But hey.
I think that points to an interesting question too. Do some of us get to a place where we're not asking ourselves, what could I do which would be exciting, or it's
Hmm.
more of what can I do just to make ends meet or get by right now? And we maybe forget to, like, go back to that question: if we've met our sustenance needs, our basic survival needs, and are able
Hmm.
to then pivot to, what am I most passionate about? When do I feel like at the peak of everything
Hmm.
that I have within me to come forward? And I think that can lead to some really great directions, and
Yes.
the quality of the life that we want to lead, because we all want to feel, and I know we can't do this 24, be in that state 24/7, but we all want to feel inspired. We all want to feel so excited that we light the room on fire when we walk in, because our passion is just everywhere, around what
Yes.
we're doing, and people are drawn to it
Yes.
magnetically. And I sense that within you, and that's why I love that we're having this conversation, because
Thank you.
we are like wanting to kind of promote that mindset of,
Hmm.
find your passion, find what really ignites you.
Hmm.
Take some time, close doors, but it's there.
Hmm.
I think we all have
Yes. Yes. And what's interesting too about like even the blog and everything, right? People go after numbers. How many followers do I
it.
have? How many this do I, how that
Yeah,
goes. It's like, it's very stressful.
yeah,
When you start comparing yourself to other people who have more followers, less followers, more engagement, less engagement. If I'm monetizing this or I'm monetizing that, I feel like, especially when you go into something creative like I am, it's not like a 9 to 5 where I have a salary and then maybe in a year or two I might get a bump in pay. um I try not to go into it with the mindset that I'm going to make money. I go into the with the mindset of I want to do something I love. I want to wake up every morning and be excited that I'm going to release a video today, or that I'm going to shoot a video today, that I'm going to work on recipe development or whatever it is. And I feel like when you have that joy, that passion, not so much for what you do. I mean, yes, you do, but it shows. It just goes. It shows to people. And in my case, they want to work with you because they see that. They see that you're genuinely somebody that is of good aura, of good positive. So I have, not as many followers as a lot of other people do. Yet I do a lot of collaborations with companies because they like what they see. So, and yeah, the money's important, but I don't put that first. I put that second, because if I'm unhappy, the money's not going to help me in any way, shape, or form. Or if I'm, oh my God, I have to make this much money, then I'm not going to be happy if I'm like, well, by December 31st, I have to make, $20,000 of this one thing. Like, no, like let it be.
Your validation isn't coming, and appropriately so, coming through numbers. It's not coming through labels. It's coming through process of doing what you love and being okay with whoever is drawn to you as a result of that. And whether it's 5 people or 50 people, those are the people it's you want on your journey with you.
Yes.
And you can have 10 million followers, but who are you really going to feel joined with? You're going to feel joined with maybe the couple hundred people who are diving into your content, who are liking it, or really it's making a difference in your life. You're getting the emails, the comments, like, wow, this dish really changed me. I'm so excited to make this. And I think if we release our need for this external validation of this metric, of these ideas out there which aren't really real, then I think we open ourselves to authentic happiness. It really is authentic because it's built into our activity and the natural unfolding, the organic unfolding of whoever that brings to it.
Exactly. Yeah, organic is exactly the way that I think it should be. Just don't force anything. It's just, they say whatever will be, but it's not necessarily that it will be, but it's just let it be, let it go. Don't worry about it. Just, and I have to tell myself that in more than one facet of my life, like everything, like I just, I talk to myself a lot. So yeah, it's more like, it'll be, just relax, whatever. Just let things happen the way they're going to happen, and then go from there. And another thing too, for me, has been accepting the people in my life for who they are, and not expecting more from people in my life than they can give me. And that, I think, has been so helpful, because my expectations, not that they're low, but I know that I already know how this one person is. I already know how they're going to act or do or be. And I just know, and then I'm never hurt by them, because I already know their limitations and I accept them. It's not like I'm like, oh, well, it's okay, fine. Well, they're just like that. No, I love you for who you are, and I accept you for who you are. And then hopefully that's the same treatment that I get back. But for the most part, that's one thing that I find also creates happiness, because you're not disappointed.
Absolutely. It removes pressure from your relationships in such a helpful way. And I often find that when people's expectations of others are too high, it's usually because you're missing something within yourself. And so you're easily let down when other people, whether it's approval or doing something for you. And if you're able to provide that for yourself, you can have very modest expectations of others and feel really okay with whatever somebody's able to do in that moment. And I think, Belqui, I think that makes us more compassionate people.
Exactly.
We can step into others' perspectives. You're having a tough day. I can see that, maybe disappointing for me that you weren't able to be there for me. But you know what?
Yes.
I get that. I have days like that too, where I may not live up to all of the promises that I made, and that's something that,
But you forgive yourself,
yep,
and you forgive yourself, and you just say, tomorrow or later on, I have another opportunity to come back to those things that I value, that are what are making me. Because no one's perfect. So I agree 100%. Like I feel like once I let go of expectations of other people, things just got so much easier for me when it came to, especially because a lot of the expectations are from family members, that we have of family members or of close friends. That's usually, oh, they're supposed to love me. How come they're not doing this or that? But no, everyone has their own thing. And I look at where they're coming from. Like you said, I'm looking at what's their life experience, what's happening in their life. Like, so take that into account.
yeah, the greatest kindness is giving without expecting something in return for what you've given. And I think when we give that way, when we're kind in a selfless way, it comes back
Yes.
to us fourfold.
Yes.
Versus I'm doing this just so there'll be some reciprocity, which is not
Mm-hmm.
as evolved a form of kindness. It's commodified. But
Yes.
we're coming to the close of the end of our time today. How can people find your blog, and how else
Oh,
can people connect with you?
yes. So my blog is belquistwist.com. So it's Belqui, BELQUI ''S twist. And I also have a YouTube channel by the same name, Belqui's Twist. I'm going to be changing the name, adding Latin in there because I need to be more specific now. So you can find me there on Facebook, on Instagram, all by the same name. And then you'll get to enjoy some Latin Caribbean foods and some, little twists that I do with some of the I would say, let's say if I'm doing something that's a super classic, I might be like, you know what, that might work really well with an egg roll or a spring roll or a pizza or this. So I have fun with food, and it's a fun journey, and it fills my soul. So if anyone goes in there and finds anything that they love, I'm just grateful. So.
And I would say to everybody, please go check out Belky's Twist, because it's more than just food. You are getting a spiritual infusion of positive energy, which you embody. So it's way more than that. And this conversation has been so enriching. And I'll just share that you can follow me at Scott David Glass for more inspiration. My book, A Happier You, is coming out in November from New Harbinger, but you can pre-order the book today if you go onto my website, scottglassman.com. And a portion of each book that you order will be donated to supporting independent bookstores. So it's through bookshop.org, and we want to support independent businesses as they get back on their feet after the pandemic. And we, this has just been a terrific conversation. So,
yes, I can't wait to get the book. I can't wait to get it. So, just having this conversation with you is wonderful, and I know the book's going to be amazing. So,
thank you so much. Now, this has been really a blissful hour, and we've dropped a lot of gems here for the viewers, and hopefully this won't be the last of us talking.
No, it won't be. So you got my info, and I got yours. So if you need anything from me, I'm here for you.
And likewise, same.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Belqui.
Bye, Scott. Thank you.
Take care.
You too.